All right, the second presidential debate in St. Louis over the weekend, moderated by Martha Raddatz and Anderson Cooper. So far, we've had the first of three presidential debates and the one and only vice presidential debate. On Sunday, we had the second presidential debate. It was a very depressed and sort of somber Donald Trump, who proved to be completely classless in every single way, bizarrely stalking behind Hillary Clinton throughout the debate, looking dark, looking truly, truly depressed, dark, and almost just resentful and angry. And the most difficult thing about these debates is that Hillary Clinton has this impossible task of having to pretend like she's in a real debate with someone who has a clue about anything. And that can be really tough. Hillary Clinton had to keep this face on, knowing that there was a reaction shot of her for a lot of the debate, where she had to act like Donald Trump was even a remotely reasonable person who knew anything, and he didn't. And that was really, really tough. Trump, in his first answer, managed to connect the leaked audio Pussygate comments to ISIS, which I don't think we've seen before. I don't know that we'll ever see again in our lifetimes. And in my head, the way I was hearing the questions go from Trump to Clinton, from the moderators would go to Trump, he would just rant unintelligibly. And I almost felt like the way they should go to Hillary Clinton is, Secretary Clinton, you look like you recognize some of the words in this question. Do you want to take a shot at answering? Because Trump just would not answer a single question. Let's start with whether Trump understands that he claimed to have sexually assaulted women in the leaked audio tape.
We received a lot of questions online, Mr. Trump, about the tape that was released on Friday. As you can imagine, you called what you said locker room banter. You described kissing women without consent, grabbing their genitals. That is sexual assault. You bragged that you have sexually assaulted women. Do you understand that?
No, I didn't say that at all. I don't think you understood what was said. This was locker room talk. I'm not proud of it. I apologize to my family. I apologize to the American people. Certainly, I'm not proud of it. But this is locker room talk. You know, when we have a world where you have ISIS chopping off heads, where you have, and frankly, drowning people in steel cages, where you have wars and horrible, horrible sights all over, where you have so many bad things happening. This is like medieval times. We haven't seen anything like this, the carnage all over the world.
Yeah. First time in history that pussy grabbing and ISIS have been connected. Donald Trump has done it, and with lots of sniffing and sniffling to go along with it. Then let's go to Donald Trump again, sort of following up about this entire leaked audio using the "it's just words" response.
Get to some questions
Well,
from
am I allowed
online.
to respond to that? I assume I am.
Yes, you can respond to that.
It's just words, folks. It's just words. Those words, I've been hearing them for many years. I heard them when they were running for the Senate in New York, where Hillary was going to bring back jobs to upstate New York, and she failed. I've heard them where Hillary is constantly talking about the inner cities of our country, which are a disaster, education-wise, job-wise, safety-wise.
Yeah, so Trump just rambling, words have no meaning anymore. It's an alternate universe, except every time Trump says something and says it has no meaning, then we find more and more evidence that for him it actually really does have meaning, and the leaked audio tape's no exception. Here is where Trump, you could see him thinking, am I going to mention Bill Clinton or am I not going to mention Bill Clinton? And he did. Here's that moment from the debate.
If you look at Bill Clinton, far worse, minor words, and his was action. His was what he's done to women. There's never been anybody in the history of politics in this nation that's been so abusive to women. So you can say any way you want to say it, but Bill Clinton was abusive to women. Hillary Clinton attacked those same women and attacked them viciously. 4 of them are here tonight. One of the women, who is a wonderful woman, at 12 years old, was raped at 12. Her client, she represented, got him off, and she's seen laughing on 2 separate occasions, laughing at the girl who was raped.
Okay, now here we're going to get to one of the most controversial moments from the debate, which culminated with Trump telling Hillary Clinton that if he were president, she would be in jail. So let's start with how Trump went into this, talking about Bernie Sanders not losing fair and square and WikiLeaks, and then mentioning a special prosecutor.
And all you have to do is take a look at WikiLeaks and just see what they said about Bernie Sanders and see what Deborah Wasserman Schultz had in mind because Bernie Sanders, between superdelegates and Deborah Wasserman Schultz, he never had a chance. And I was so surprised to see him sign on with the devil. But when you talk about apology, I think the one that you should really be apologizing for, and the thing that you should be apologizing for, are the 33,000 emails that you deleted and that you acid washed. And then the 2 boxes of emails and other things last week that were taken from an office and are now missing. And I'll tell you what, I didn't think I'd say this, but I'm going to say it. And I hate to say it, but if I win, I am going to instruct my Attorney General to get a special prosecutor to look into your situation, because there has never been so many lies, so much deception.
And then the crowning achievement of the second debate, in a way reminiscent of Hitler or Mussolini or other dictators, the entire "I will jail my political opponents" idea that we have seen the world over from really, really bad people. Trump says Hillary would be in jail if he were president.
So once again, go to HillaryClinton.com. We have literally Trump. You can fact check him in real time.
Yeah.
Last time at the first debate, we had millions of people fact checking. So I expect we'll have millions more fact checking because, you know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Yeah, and the trumpeters just absolutely loving it, loving it, loving, as many authoritarians do, the idea of democratically elected officials threatening to put their political opponents in jail. Not exactly the calling card of the United States, but it is apparently for Donald Trump. Now, the Muslim ban. What is the explanation on the Muslim ban? We sort of heard about it from Trump. Let's take a look at that clip.
Mr. Trump, in December, you said this: Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. We have no choice. We have no choice.
Go on.
Your running mate said this week that the Muslim ban is no longer your position. Is that correct? And if it is, was it a mistake to have a religious test?
First of all, Captain Khan is an American hero.
Right.
And if I were president at that time, he would be alive today.
Sure.
Because unlike her, who voted for the war without knowing what she was doing, I would not have had our people in Iraq. Iraq was a disaster.
Lie.
So he would have been alive today. The Muslim ban is something that in some form has morphed into a extreme vetting from certain areas of the world. Hillary Clinton wants to allow.
And why did it morph into that? No, did you? No, answer the question.
Why
do
don't
you still believe?
Her? You
I
interrupt
do.
me all the time. Why don't you interrupt her?
Would you please explain whether or not the Muslim ban still stands?
It's called extreme vetting. We are going to areas like Syria where they're coming in by the tens of thousands because of Barack Obama.
Yeah. And so extreme vetting is now the plan, which is also known as the system we already have in place. And then one of the funny moments, this is just one example, but it was spread throughout the debate, Trump complaining about Hillary Clinton getting more time than he did.
You shouldn't have. Well, I just want
There's been lots of fact checking on that. I'd like to move on to an online question.
She just went about 25 seconds over her time.
She
Could
did
I
not.
just respond to this, please?
Very quickly, please.
She can't.
Yeah, Martha, Hillary went 25 seconds over. I mean, yes, I interrupted 4 times, waved my arms at the moderators twice, and sniffed and sniffled over the entire thing. But she went over, Martha, except it wasn't true. Trump had more speaking time, 40 minutes and 10 seconds during this debate, versus only 39 minutes and 5 seconds for Hillary Clinton, in spite of complaining about speaking time the entire debate. And then I'm going to present this to you as Trump's strongest moment of the debate. It's only 11 seconds, okay? I had to dig really deep to find a strong moment. This, I believe, was Trump's strongest moment in the debate. Take a look.
She complains that Donald Trump took advantage of the tax code. Well, why didn't she change it? Why didn't you change it when you were a senator? The reason you didn't is that all your friends take the same advantage that I do. And I do. And I will tell you.
So, unfortunately, Hillary Clinton did actually vote to have the tax loophole they're referring to closed, but there was not a majority, so it was not closed when she was a senator. Optically, one of Trump's strongest moments. Unfortunately, it did not really make any sense. And then a blockbuster moment, Trump admitting that, of course, he used that $916 million loss in 1995 to avoid paying federal taxes in the future.
The New York Times published 3 pages of your 1995 tax returns. They show you claimed a $916 million loss, which means you could have avoided paying personal federal income taxes for years. You've said you pay state taxes, employee taxes, real estate taxes, property taxes. You have not answered, though, a simple question. Did you use that $916 million loss to avoid paying personal federal income taxes for years?
Of course I do. Of course I do. And so do all of her donors, or most of her donors. I know many of her donors.
Yeah. And here is the last moment I will play for you, which is Donald Trump asking a really important question after an unintelligible rant about foreign policy.
What do you think will happen if Aleppo falls?
I think Aleppo is a disaster, humanitarian-wise.
What do you think will happen if it falls?
I think that it basically has fallen, okay? It basically has fallen. Let me tell you something. You take a look at Mosul. The biggest problem I have with the stupidity of our foreign policy. We have Mosul. They think a lot of the ISIS leaders are in Mosul. So we have announcements coming out of Washington and coming out of Iraq. We will be attacking Mosul in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Well, all of these bad leaders from ISIS are leaving Mosul. Why can't they do it quietly? Why can't they do the attack, make it a sneak attack, and after the attack is made, inform the American public that we've knocked out the leaders, we've had a tremendous success. People leave. Why do they have to say we're going to be attacking Mosul within the next 4 to 6 weeks, which is what they're saying? How stupid is our country?
That is the question, ladies and gentlemen. How stupid is our country? We'll find out on November 8th, won't we? We'll take a break and be back with more after this. The David Pakman Show is sponsored this week by Decode DC, the podcast that gives you an honest look into how politics affects your life. The host of Decode DC is Jimmy Williams, and he is a very interesting guy. He worked in politics on both sides of the aisle, starting as a Republican, becoming a Democrat. He's worked as a lobbyist. He does know his stuff, and he's taking that experience and explaining the internal dynamics of how Washington, D.C. works. Decode DC will often dig into topics that, you know, I'm passionate about. Money in politics, for example, including a recent show about why small dollar donors don't actually produce winning political candidates. Check it out. I did. I think you will love it. We are talking about Decode DC. It's available on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts.